What's going on YouTube, it's Jason, and today we're going to be discussing how not to get fat during Christmas. Now, I've been a PT for around 10 years and pretty much every year I see the same pattern of behavior. From about Black Friday, I see people start to gorge on food and alcohol and justify everything under the "it's Christmas" vibe. And then come January, they've gained half a stone or a stone or more. And now it's like, new year, new me, I need to get all this weight off. And so rather than sitting there quietly and rubbing my hands together when all the overweight inquiries come through in January, I thought I'd share 5 tips as to how I stay lean around the Christmas season. The first thing is recognizing that Christmas is 3 days and not 30 days. As I mentioned, every single year from about Black Friday, people start boozing and eating excessively under the guise of, oh, it's Christmas. And it's like, you don't need to start from the last week of November just stuffing your face, and certainly after Christmas is over, 27th, 28th, 29th of December, continue stuffing your face until the new year. It's unnecessary, and this level of eating is just going to cause unnecessary weight gain. Instead, what I do and what I advise my clients to do is use the days leading up until Christmas as normal days, with maybe the exception of your work Christmas party and 1 or 2 social occasions. But every other day is a normal day of the year. Do your macros, do your calories, and crack on like normal. And then 24th, 25th, 26th are the actual Christmas days where you increase your calorie intake, but that's been planned for. And then after that, 27th to the 31st, things go back to normal. There is no need to make an entire month or more of a 3-day period. Think about it like this. Let's say people consume around 500 extra calories from the last week of November all the way through until the last week of December. That is 17,500 extra calories in 5 weeks. Meaning, hypothetically speaking, people will be gaining around 5 pounds of body fat. And to be honest, in my experience, that's a conservative estimate. Even if we peeled it back and said people were doing about 300 extra calories, they would still be consuming around 10,000 extra calories in that 5-week period. Once you add in water weight and everything else, people could be between 5 and 7 pounds heavier by the new year. Don't fall into that trap. Minimize the damage by planning for 5 to 7 higher calorie days in the month of December. Point number 2 is don't abandon all activity. I see it every single year. People start winding down with their training from the last week of November and then pick things up again in the new year. But think about it. You are going to be consuming more calories than normal over the festive season. So when you wind down your activity, what do you think is going to happen? You are obviously going to gain more weight. And so if you're really hardcore, I would recommend training the same up until Christmas Eve and then taking 3 days off until Boxing Day and then resuming as normal until the start of the new year. But I recognize this isn't feasible for most people, and so I recommend keeping in 3 sessions per week. If you can get to the gym 3 times, then great. But otherwise, go out on walks and try and get between 5 and 7,000 steps. By doing this, you're going to help minimize the damage and offset all the extra calories. Point number 3 is more of a mindset principle, but a very important one, and that is to get out of this scarcity mindset. So many people have this mentality around Christmas of, I must capitalize on this 3 days and stuff my face and get as much food in as I can, as though like they can't have that food any other time of year. And as a result, they cram in all the food and alcohol and they overeat and gain loads and loads of weight. Instead, the mentality that I've developed is recognizing that the food that I consume during Christmas, I can actually have any other time of year. I'm not a prisoner of war. I'm not forced into this 3-day window of having to consume all these calories. Why can't I have it the week after or 2 weeks later? And when you adopt that mentality, you chill out around food because it's not the end of the world if you don't get all your food in that 3-day window. And so with this mentality, come Christmas Day or Boxing Day, I can either decide to have a little something of what I want, or just wait and save myself the calories. And so again, by doing this, I am able to minimize the amount of weight that I gain during the Christmas period. And that brings me on to point number 4. Again, another very important mindset principle, but to get out of this mentality of being on and off the wagon. A lot of people don't realize that the reason that their weight fluctuates so much through the year is because they have this mentality that they are being good around January and say when an event is coming up, and then other times of the year they are off the wagon and completely abandon their program. And this is very much a dieting mentality of behaving and not behaving. But the reason I've, for the past say 20 years, kept the weight off that I lost is because I beat this mentality for good and realized that it was the very thing that was causing me to wear one size of clothing in summer and another size in winter. Now, we should avoid this mentality for a few reasons. The first is that when people regain the weight, in most cases, they are heavier than when they started. It's not like they're just losing a stone and gaining a stone. They're often losing a stone and gaining back like a stone and a half. And obviously, as that compounds, this could lead to further obesity. The second thing to bear in mind is that when you gain more weight, it gets harder to do anything about it. At the end of the day, we're human, we get demotivated, and if you're getting heavier and further away from your goal, you are much less likely to actually take action. And in my experience, I see this a lot with my severely obese clients. When they tell you their stories, they explain how they were struggling dieters at around 13 stone, and now they're 20 stone, and they're almost confused as to how they got there. It's because when they were 13 and 14 stone, there was some resistance, there was some fight back. They wanted to do something about their weight. But after they got to say 18 or 19 stone, it was like, who cares, live and let live, I'm always going to be fat anyway, and then they just unravel. So don't take for granted that when the new year rolls around, you're definitely going to be motivated to lose the weight, because some people don't, and it can quickly spiral out of control. We seem to have got to a place in society where discipline and self-control are almost viewed as negative things. They're viewed as things that are extreme, things that can negatively impact your mental health, and things that stop you living a little. But I don't really get where this mentality comes from. For example, if I were to go out with friends for Christmas drinks, and I were to have, say, 2 or 3 drinks, there are certain people I know that would ask me, am I drinking tonight? Or why am I taking it easy? Because unless I get slaughtered in their opinion, I am not enjoying myself or letting my hair down. But when you think about it, that's crazy, that you can't go out and have a few drinks without being interrogated as to why you're not getting absolutely battered. And I think it's this all or nothing mentality that is putting us in an obesity crisis. So there is no need to go off the wagon. Keep at least something going during the Christmas period and apply a bit of self-control. And the final thing is to pick between food and alcohol what you're going to indulge in over the Christmas period. A lot of people make the mistake of gorging on loads of food and consuming loads of alcohol during the Christmas period. You can imagine calories can rack up pretty quickly. And so instead of consuming crazy amounts of both, I always say commit to one thing, i.e., if you are going to consume both food and alcohol, pick one of 3 options. Number 1, either go moderate on both food and alcohol. Number 2, go all in on food and back off on the alcohol, consume only moderate amounts. Or if you decide you want to drink a little bit more, then go more moderate on the food. By picking one of these 3 options, you're going to help minimize the damage and offset some of that weight gain. So that's everything. The festive season is there to be enjoyed. You don't need to be really strict. The whole point is that you relax and enjoy time with your friends and family, but it doesn't need to come with a stone of weight gain. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Don't forget to like it, comment below for the algorithm, it massively helps. Please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon.